Hello and welcome to Feed Your Fire. I'm your host, Kim Baker. The holidays have passed. It's not quite the new year. From a calendar perspective, we are living in the in-between. And like all transition phases, that puts us at a moment of opportunity. In many ways, it's the best seat in the house. It's like having the corner table tucked in a little nook with a window view. So today we're cooking up a bistro-style meal that's warm, cozy, and nourishing. And if you're planning a New Year's celebration, it pairs perfectly with champagne. Anyone else feeling a bit of an adrenaline hangover? The rush of the Black Friday sales and mania give way to bags of torn up wrapping paper and half-eaten charcuteries. We're on the other side of the high, giving us a chance to recalibrate and reset. How often do you think about the beauty of the ordinary? When I was younger, my nickname at home was the Hurricane. If I had 5 minutes, I thought I had enough time to paint a room, to build a report, to get a workout in. It was more than just time and maturity. I was always on a quest, a machine to do more and more. And like most things in life, I didn't recognize the flaw in this until I was in the middle of wreckage, and the last thing we needed was a hurricane. I had to meet that restlessness with peace. It was during that time when a phrase that my mother often used really rang true. She used to tell us that we needed to preserve our strength, and these in-between moments give us the chance to do just that. And it seems befitting to honor this as we approach the 10-year mark of her passing. A couple years ago, I took my son to Paris, and my sister met us there. We stayed in the Madeleine district in her memory. My son's one mission was to take a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower with a baguette in hand. So we popped in a bakery and traveled the city with this baguette in tow, prepared for our moment. A strategy Mom would have been very proud of. And if you've had the opportunity to learn from the French, then you know the ease with which they savor a moment. And there's something in that we could all benefit from. Allowing ourselves, if only for these moments in between, to not worry about having an agenda, to take pleasure in a meal or a walk or a conversation without the need for everything to be in service of a milestone. And that's what we're bringing to the table today. Nourishing our souls with the slow stir of the ordinary, preserving our strength, and relishing in the memory of my mother, Madeleine. As it turns out, the recipe that we're making today, French onion soup, is considered a hangover cure, an appropriate recharge for this adrenaline exhaustion, or perhaps New Year's Day. We're not judging. This is a meal that's prepared low and slow. The first thing we're going to do is peel and slice about 5 pounds of onions. That's about 2 of those netted bags that you find in the grocery store. Once you peel them, you can slice them east to west or north to south. It doesn't matter. You'll just want them to be relatively evenly sliced, about 1/8 of an inch thick. If you cut the onions with a candle burning, it'll help reduce the tears. You're going to need a big 8-quart pot to make this soup. Pop in a half a stick of butter and let it melt over medium to low heat. Then add in all of those sliced onions. If there are too many to fit in the pot all at once, let some of them cook down for about 10 minutes and then add a few more. They'll start losing volume relatively quickly. The goal is to sweat the onions and not get any color on them. Feel free to add a pinch of salt and let them cook for like an hour and a half over low heat, stirring them regularly. You'll know they're ready when they've lost kind of all of their integrity. The fibers of the onion have disintegrated. And pardon my French, but they've sort of become a textural slop. Then go ahead and add the leaves from a few sprigs of thyme and let that cook together for a couple minutes. Add about 2 tablespoons of flour and stir that up so that it's fully incorporated. Then add in about 1/4 cup of white wine. Let that cook for 5 to 10 minutes to burn off the alcohol. Now we're going to add in about 3 quarts of good quality beef stock. I get mine from the butcher shop. Just get the best quality you could find. and add in about 4 to 6 bay leaves. Season everything with salt and pepper. Add in a splash or two of sherry wine and let everything cook for about 30 minutes. Then taste it. You should have a rich, flavorful onion broth with a hint of sweetness from that sherry. The final step is to make this au gratin. This requires a crostini or some type of crouton-like bread and a ton of shredded Gruyere. I tend to keep crostini on hand because, as you know by now, I'm a nerd. Anytime I have a leftover baguette, I slice it up, drizzle it with olive oil, and slow bake it with some salt sprinkled on top. Sometimes I do this with leftover bagels, which actually make amazing toppers for French onion soup. You'll need to have a ramekin or bowl that's oven safe. It needs to be big enough to hold a nice hearty bowl of soup. And place them on a sheet pan so that any overflow doesn't make a mess in your oven. Ladle in a hefty dose of that onion soup we just prepared. Add a crostini or two on top and add about a quarter cup of that shredded Gruyere on top of each one. Do not be stingy with the cheese. Then place the sheet pan with the soup bowls under a broiler. You want that cheese to get brown and crusty. You're probably going to be tempted to take it out of the oven sooner than you should, but give it enough time to get some color. Remember, we're stepping into French culture here. This process is not to be rushed. While delicious, this is a very humble meal. It's made with very unassuming ingredients. It's not expensive, it's not fancy, but to make it well requires patience and care. My boyfriend and I prepared this together for Christmas Eve dinner. Though the smell of onions penetrating the house and your hair and your clothes don't exactly speak romance, this is an unbelievably luscious dish that I highly recommend enjoying with someone you love. There was a time in life when I would chase highs. Big moments, big energy. Maybe you've done the same. But what I've learned is that there's so much magic to be unlocked in the ordinary. A joy and pleasure that doesn't leave you with a hangover. And it actually fortifies you. The cells in our body operate on a cycle. The majority of this cycle is interphase. It's the stage where cells are performing their normal function. They're growing, they're preparing for replication. And the majority of that cell's life cycle is spent in that very stage. This phase is critical for survival. And if our cells require it, then we can imagine that as organisms made of these cells, we too require it. As we approach a new year, we often look for these defining moments. We can often treat these liminal spaces like they're empty, merely a transition to what's next. But when you think about what's made you you, it was probably all the moments in between, the slow, steady churn of the everyday. These moments need to be savored and appreciated, just like the milestones. And in fact, if it wasn't for these small moments, there would be no big ones. They're where we build our reserves, and they provide the context for what really matters. So as you navigate these next few days of 2025, looking through that bistro window towards the year ahead, know that this in-between moment counts as much as the next. 10 years ago, we celebrated New Year's Eve in hospice. It was a weird time. My son was 6 years old. My nieces were 1 and 8. And there they were with glittered hats and noisemakers as we celebrated life among the dying. But the discovery through that process was that we had to find the magic in each other and the ordinary, in the uncertainty of that liminal space. And 10 years later, we're still nourished by it. Wishing you all a happy new year and every day in between. Until our next episode, we say so long. Feed your fire, where food nourishes growth. Feed Your Fire is sponsored by Kasari Consulting, where insight meets innovation. That's KASARI Consulting.com.